Have you ever wondered why some of the happiest and most successful people you know seem so quiet about their personal lives? It's not because they have nothing to share. It's because they understand something most people don't. Privacy is power. The more you reveal, the more you give away pieces of yourself you can never take back. In a world that rewards oversharing, holding something back can feel strange, even wrong. But if you've ever felt that empty, uneasy feeling after telling someone too much, you already know there's a cost. Every word you share is a seed you plant in someone else's mind, and you can't control how they will grow it, twist it, or use it. Think about how often you've seen good moments ruined by the wrong audience. You share a dream, and suddenly someone's doubt becomes your own. You talk about a relationship, and unsolicited opinions begin to shape how you feel. When you give people access to your deepest thoughts and moments, you also give them the power to influence them. Not everyone will misuse it, but enough will. And the damage can be quiet, slow, and invisible until it's too late. That's why keeping your personal life private isn't about being secretive. It's about protecting the things that matter most while they're still growing. The truth is, the more you keep to yourself, the more control you have over your own story. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your goals, your struggles, or your progress. Silence gives you space to change without being judged mid-journey. It allows you to succeed without others waiting for you to fail. And perhaps most importantly, it protects your peace, that mental space where you can think, dream, and act without interference. Your privacy is a shield, and in a noisy, chaotic world, it's one of the strongest shields you can carry. There's something magnetic about people who don't reveal everything. It's not mystery for the sake of mystery. It's confidence. It's knowing that you are enough, without the constant need for external validation. When you don't broadcast every detail, you give others only what's necessary, and that selective sharing makes your presence stronger, your words more impactful. People listen more when you speak less. By the time you finish this, you'll see privacy not as a wall, but as a foundation, one that makes everything else in your life stronger. You'll understand why keeping certain things sacred can lead to more freedom, more success, and more inner strength than you've ever felt before. And you'll be equipped to reclaim control over the parts of yourself that truly belong to you. If you've ever wanted to feel untouchable in your confidence, unstoppable in your goals, and unshakable in your peace of mind, stay with this until the end. What you'll discover can change the way you move through the world, and it begins right now. When you choose to keep certain parts of your life private, you are making a declaration that your worth is not measured by the approval of others. You are telling yourself that your dreams, your relationships, and your struggles are too valuable to be exposed to careless opinions or shallow judgment. This is not about hiding who you are. It's about owning who you are so completely that you no longer need the constant reassurance of an audience. The less you seek validation from the outside, the more you begin to build it from within. And that inner validation is unshakable because it's not dependent on anyone else's mood, bias, or perception. There is a profound kind of freedom that comes with not needing to explain yourself. You no longer feel the pressure to defend your choices or justify your progress. You don't waste energy convincing people to understand you because you realize that understanding is not a requirement for you to move forward. Your actions, your growth, and your peace are no longer up for debate. And when you remove that debate, you remove so much unnecessary noise from your life. You find yourself thinking more clearly, acting with more certainty, and moving with a kind of calm determination that other people can feel. The world will always have opinions about you. Some will be kind, some will be cruel, and many will be wrong. If you let those voices shape you, you will never truly belong to yourself. But when you hold your personal life close, you create a boundary that those voices cannot cross. You stop being at the mercy of every comment, every question, every raised eyebrow. You decide whose input actually matters, and often the answer is far fewer people than you think. That selectivity is not arrogance, it is wisdom. Privacy also creates space for your ambitions to breathe. The early stages of any goal are fragile, like a seed just breaking through the soil. Too much exposure too soon can crush it before it has the strength to stand on its own. By keeping your dreams private, you allow them to grow roots, to become strong enough to withstand doubt and criticism when the time comes to share them. You give yourself the gift of building without interruption, of failing without spectacle, of rising without the pressure of eyes that don't understand your journey. When you stop giving away pieces of yourself for free, you start to notice how much more energy you have for what truly matters. Your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, you start to live for the life you are building, not for the version of it that other people see. That is the moment you begin to feel powerful in a way no one can take from you. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it is unbreakable. And once you taste it, you will never go back. The moment you stop sharing every detail of your life, you begin to notice something powerful. You no longer feel drained by the weight of other people's reactions. You no longer carry their doubts, their projections, or their hidden envy. Instead, you carry only what belongs to you. This shift frees up an incredible amount of mental and emotional energy. Energy that was once spent explaining, defending, or justifying can now be used to create, to focus, and to grow. You start to move through life with a sense of clarity that cannot exist when too many voices are in your head. That clarity becomes your compass, guiding you toward decisions that align with your true self rather than the version of you others expect. Keeping your personal life private also builds self-trust. Every time you resist the urge to share for validation, you are telling yourself, I am enough as I am. That repetition strengthens your inner foundation. You stop seeking answers outside of yourself because you realize you already have them. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you become your own anchor. When you are anchored in your own truth, no amount of outside noise can pull you off course. You begin to experience a steadiness that makes challenges feel less threatening and opportunities feel more attainable. Boundaries become easier to set and easier to keep. Privacy teaches you that not everyone deserves access to every part of you. Some people may not understand this, and that's okay. You are no longer in the business of convincing anyone to approve of your boundaries. You understand that the right people will respect them, and the wrong people will reveal themselves when they don't. That revelation is a gift because it allows you to remove the wrong people from your inner circle before they can do harm. Protecting your inner world becomes as natural as protecting your physical space. There is also a profound dignity in living without the need for constant disclosure. You are no longer performing your life for others to watch. You are living it for yourself. The more you practice this, the more you realize that some of your happiest, most peaceful moments are the ones no one else knows about. Those moments feel purer, richer, and more real because they belong entirely to you. They are untouched by judgment, comparison, or interference. They are yours, and that ownership is empowering. This is where privacy transforms from a habit into a way of life. It stops being something you do and becomes part of who you are. You carry yourself differently because you know your life is not open for public consumption. You feel stronger because you are no longer giving away the parts of you that make you whole. That strength, once discovered, becomes impossible to surrender. It is the quiet kind of power that lasts a lifetime. When you guard your personal life, you protect the deepest parts of your identity from being shaped by forces that don't have your best interests at heart. The world is full of people who see life through the lens of their own fears, failures, and limitations. If you expose your inner world to that, their perceptions can seep into your mind, altering how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. By keeping certain things private, you create a safe zone where your vision is not contaminated by someone else's doubts. This safe zone becomes the birthplace of your truest potential, untouched by the noise that tries to distort it. There is a unique kind of confidence that grows when you realize you don't owe anyone your entire truth. You stop oversharing out of habit. You stop seeking sympathy as a substitute for strength. You stop allowing others to weigh in on chapters they haven't earned the right to read. This doesn't make you cold or distant, it makes you self-respecting. It means you understand that your life is not a public forum. You become intentional with your words, choosing to speak only when there is purpose, not simply to fill silence. That intention makes your voice carry more weight when you do share. As your privacy deepens, so does your resilience. The challenges you face are no longer magnified by the chorus of opinions that often follow public exposure. You deal with them quietly, efficiently, and with far less emotional turbulence. You realize that strength is often built in private, in the moments when no one is watching, and in the victories you celebrate silently. These victories feel different, they feel more authentic, because they are free from the performance and the pressure of public acknowledgement. This way of living also refines your sense of self-worth. You stop equating visibility with value. You understand that your worth is not dependent on how much of your life is on display. Instead, it is rooted in your actions, your integrity, and your ability to stay aligned with what you believe in. The less you depend on external recognition, the more you begin to recognize yourself. That recognition is powerful because it cannot be taken away by disapproval or misunderstanding. It becomes a steady, unshakable force within you. The choice to keep your personal life private is a choice to live with intention. It is a commitment to protecting your peace, preserving your energy, and honoring your growth. It is the decision to let your results speak louder than your words. And when your life is built on that foundation, you no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. You carry your confidence quietly, but it radiates in everything you do. That is the kind of power no one can touch, and it is worth protecting at all costs. When you live with privacy, you begin to master the art of emotional control. You are no longer reacting to every opinion, comment, or expectation because most people don't have access to the parts of you that could trigger that reaction. You stop being pulled in 100 directions by the approval or disapproval of others. Instead, you direct your energy toward what truly matters. This creates a sense of calm strength, the kind that is not easily disturbed. You are no longer at the mercy of the external world because your internal world is fortified and protected. Your focus sharpens in ways you may have never experienced before. Without the constant noise of outside judgment, you are able to think more clearly, plan more effectively, and act with greater precision. You stop second-guessing yourself based on what others might think. Your decisions are guided by your values, your vision, and your purpose. This alignment makes you unstoppable because your momentum is no longer broken by the weight of other people's opinions. You operate with a kind of quiet determination that doesn't require explanation. There is also a deep emotional freedom that comes when you no longer feel the need to share every struggle or victory. You learn that you don't have to broadcast your pain for it to be valid. You don't have to announce your progress for it to be real. The most meaningful transformations happen within, and they don't require an audience to take root. This shift allows you to process your emotions privately, without the distortion that comes from public reaction. You heal faster, you grow stronger, you make changes without the pressure of meeting anyone's timeline but your own. Privacy becomes a form of self-respect. It sends a clear message to yourself that your life is valuable, and not everything deserves exposure. The more you practice this, the more you realize how much of your energy used to be wasted on over-explaining and over-justifying. That energy is now yours to invest in building the life you want. You stop giving your power away in small, unnoticed ways, and over time, those small acts of self-protection create massive inner strength. The world may never fully understand the choices you make, and that's not your responsibility to fix. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live authentically, to honor your path, and to protect the parts of yourself that allow you to thrive. When you choose privacy, you choose to live with purpose instead of performance. You choose peace over noise. You choose strength over exposure. And in making that choice every single day, you create a life that feels solid, secure, and deeply fulfilling. This is the kind of life that cannot be shaken no matter what happens outside of it. True strength is not in how loudly you can share your life, but in how powerfully you can live it without the need for constant display. When your happiness is not dependent on broadcasting it, you free yourself from the fragile cycle of approval and validation. You begin to live for the experience itself, not for how it looks from the outside. This is where fulfillment deepens, because it is no longer diluted by comparison or expectation. You stop measuring your worth by external reactions and start measuring it by the peace you feel when you are alone with your own thoughts. Guarding your personal life allows you to cultivate an inner sanctuary. This is a place where your goals, your values, and your dreams are nurtured without interference. In this space, you can change your mind, refine your vision, and adjust your path without anyone questioning your choices. It is a rare kind of freedom, one that allows you to grow at your own pace and in your own way. No outside pressure can speed you up or slow you down because you have taken control of the narrative. Every time you choose to keep something for yourself, you reinforce the belief that your life belongs to you first. This belief strengthens your boundaries, making it clear that your worth is not up for negotiation. You learn to protect your mental and emotional energy the same way you would protect something tangible and valuable. You understand that your attention is a currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. The discipline to keep your energy focused on what matters most becomes a habit, and that habit transforms your results. Privacy also sharpens your instincts. When you no longer rely on public feedback to guide your choices, you learn to listen more closely to your own intuition. You become better at recognizing what is right for you and what is not. You make decisions based on alignment, not on popularity. This level of self-trust becomes one of your greatest assets because it means you are no longer swayed by trends, opinions, or fleeting approval. You are guided by something much stronger, your own inner compass. There is a quiet pride that comes from building a life that doesn't need constant validation. You know your wins without having to announce them. You know your progress without having to prove it. You know your worth without needing others to confirm it. And because you no longer depend on external praise, you also become immune to unnecessary criticism. Both approval and disapproval lose their power over you. What remains is a steady, grounded confidence that cannot be manufactured or faked. It is earned through the discipline of living privately, intentionally, and with unshakable self-respect. That is the kind of power that lasts, and it is available to anyone willing to protect it. When you master the discipline of keeping your personal life private, you begin to notice how much lighter you feel. The weight of explaining yourself disappears. The need to manage other people's perceptions fades away. What's left is a sense of mental clarity that allows you to make decisions from a place of strength, not pressure. You no longer have to factor in the noise of outside opinions before taking your next step. That mental freedom is priceless because it removes hesitation and replaces it with decisive action. You start to move forward without second-guessing yourself, and that momentum changes everything. Your life starts to feel like it truly belongs to you. Every choice, every achievement, every setback becomes something you own fully. Without the constant influence of other people's expectations, you develop a deeper relationship with yourself. You start asking what you actually want, not what will look good to others. You stop chasing validation and start chasing alignment. This shift is subtle at first, but over time it rewires the way you think. You realize that the only opinion that truly shapes your future is your own. That realization brings a calm confidence that cannot be shaken by temporary circumstances. Privacy also creates space for patience. When you are not under the microscope of public attention, you can give your goals the time they truly need. You stop rushing to show results and start focusing on building a solid foundation. The process becomes more important than the performance. This allows you to make steady progress without burning out or feeling like you are constantly behind. You are able to grow quietly, and that quiet growth is often the most powerful kind, because it is not distracted by the need to constantly prove itself. The more you protect your inner world, the more selective you become about who gets access to it. You start to see the difference between people who support you and people who are simply curious about you. You realize that not everyone asking questions has your best interests at heart, and that awareness sharpens your boundaries even further. Protecting your life from the wrong energy becomes second nature, and you become skilled at identifying what doesn't belong in your space. With time, you begin to understand that privacy is not a limitation, it is a strength. It gives you control over what influences your mind and your emotions. It allows you to protect your vision while it is still vulnerable, and to reveal it only when it is ready to stand on its own. It keeps you grounded when things go well and steady when they don't. It is a decision that aligns you with your own power day after day. And when you live from that place of power, the life you build will be one that no one can dismantle from the outside. The discipline of privacy transforms the way you carry yourself. You begin to move with quiet certainty, no longer needing to announce your every step. Your actions start to speak louder than any explanation you could give. People may notice the changes in you, but they will not know every detail of how or why they happened. That mystery is not about hiding, it is about preserving the sanctity of your journey. The more you live this way, the more you understand that true power does not need to be broadcast, it is felt. It radiates through the way you show up, through the choices you make, and through the way you refuse to be rushed or swayed. Protecting your personal life also protects your mental stability. When fewer people have access to your struggles, you face them with less pressure and more clarity. You can navigate difficulties without the added weight of unwanted opinions or the subtle influence of others' fears. This allows you to stay focused on solutions rather than being distracted by outside commentary. Your resilience grows because you learn to rely on your own strength first. This doesn't mean you never seek help. It means you are intentional about where you seek it. You choose wisely, and you protect your energy from those who would only drain it. Privacy also strengthens your sense of identity. Without the constant mirror of public reaction, you are free to define yourself from the inside out. You are no longer shaped by what others think you should be. You become the kind of person who makes decisions based on alignment, not applause. That shift changes the entire trajectory of your life. You stop living reactively and start living proactively, building your days and your choices around what truly matters to you. This kind of intentional living feels lighter, cleaner, and more powerful. The less you explain, the more you conserve your energy for what actually matters, doing the work, living the life, building the foundation. You begin to see how much of your past effort was spent on managing impressions rather than making progress. That energy is now directed entirely toward your own growth. The results speak for themselves, and they carry a weight that no amount of words could match. Over time, you notice a deep sense of security within yourself. You know who you are, where you are going, and what you are willing to share along the way. You understand that your life is not a product to be consumed, but a sacred journey to be lived. That understanding changes everything. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of oversharing and overexplaining. It roots you in your own power. And from that place, you can build a life that is not only strong on the outside, but unshakable at its core. When you no longer feel the urge to reveal every detail of your life, you begin to experience a form of strength that is deeply rooted and self-sustaining. You are no longer fueled by external approval, but by an inner sense of direction. That shift changes how you move, how you speak, and how you make decisions. You are no longer reacting to the constant noise around you. Instead, you are leading yourself with clarity, guided by values that are not up for negotiation. This is where true self-mastery begins, because you are no longer distracted by what does not serve your purpose. Protecting your personal life removes unnecessary weight from your journey. You stop carrying the burden of proving yourself to anyone. You stop rehearsing explanations in your mind, anticipating questions, or bracing for opinions. That mental space becomes a reservoir of energy you can use for what truly matters: building, learning, improving, and living with intention. The absence of that constant pressure feels like breathing more deeply for the first time in years. Your focus sharpens, and the path ahead becomes easier to follow because you are no longer wasting energy looking sideways. This choice also changes the way you experience success. When you don't need to announce every win, you savor it more deeply. You celebrate for yourself, not for the reaction it might bring. Those victories feel richer because they are not diluted by comparison or by the fleeting high of public acknowledgement. They become private milestones that strengthen your confidence without making you dependent on the applause of others. This quiet satisfaction builds a foundation that cannot be shaken when external praise fades. With privacy comes a clearer sense of who truly supports you. When you share less, the people who remain close are the ones who value you for who you are, not for what you reveal. You begin to see relationships in their truest form, stripped of pretense. That clarity allows you to invest your trust and energy more wisely, surrounding yourself with people who add to your life rather than drain it. You learn to protect your time and attention as fiercely as you protect your dreams. Over time, you come to realize that privacy is not about isolation. It is about intention. It is about choosing what to share and with whom, based on what aligns with your peace and your purpose. It is about understanding that your life is not an open book for everyone to read, but a story you get to tell on your terms. That choice makes you stronger, calmer, and more focused. It creates a life where your power is no longer in the hands of others, but firmly in your own. And once you live from that place, you will never trade it for the fragility of constant exposure again. The power of a private life is that it keeps you in control of your own narrative. No one else gets to define you based on half-formed opinions or fleeting impressions. You decide what parts of your journey are visible and what remains yours alone. That control is not about manipulation, it is about self-respect. It is about protecting the parts of yourself that are still growing, the goals that are still forming, and the emotions that are still settling. By keeping them out of the public eye, you give them the space they need to become stronger before they are exposed to the unpredictable winds of judgment. This choice also sharpens your ability to stay grounded in any environment. When you know your worth without needing to display it, you are unshaken by both praise and criticism. You can walk into any situation without the fear of being misunderstood because you are no longer seeking understanding from everyone. You have accepted that not all people are meant to see your full truth. That acceptance frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to be seen, heard, and approved by those who were never meant to have that influence in the first place. Privacy deepens your relationship with yourself. When the noise of other people's input fades, you start to hear your own voice more clearly. You recognize your instincts, your desires, and your limits without them being blurred by outside perspectives. That clarity leads to decisions that feel authentic, and authenticity builds trust within yourself. Over time, you become your own most reliable guide. You stop outsourcing your confidence to the reactions of others, and you start building it from the inside, brick by brick. Protecting your personal life also allows you to preserve your emotional energy for what matters most. You no longer spend hours rethinking conversations, wondering how your words were received, or regretting what you revealed. You remove the mental clutter that comes from overexposure. That energy is now available for creativity, for discipline, for self-care, and for the steady pursuit of your goals. You begin to feel more present in your own life because you are living it for yourself, not performing it for others. Over time, you start to realize that a private life is not small or limited. It is expansive because it allows you to focus on the depth of your experiences rather than the display of them. It gives you freedom from the constant need to measure up or prove something. It anchors you in your own truth so firmly that no wave of public opinion can pull you away from it. And when you live from that place, you move with a quiet kind of confidence that speaks volumes without ever needing to shout. That is the strength that lasts, the kind that grows in silence and radiates without asking for attention. A private life teaches you the value of moving in silence, not because you fear being seen, but because you understand the strength in being selective. You realize that your energy is finite, and every detail you share is an invitation for influence, whether positive or negative. By choosing what remains yours alone, you remove unnecessary openings for doubt, interference, and distraction. This doesn't make you distant, it makes you deliberate. It allows you to protect your emotional environment so it stays clear enough for you to focus on your highest priorities without constant intrusion. When you no longer broadcast every move, you cultivate an inner stillness that becomes your greatest advantage. The world moves fast, but you are no longer caught in its frantic pace. You are building in the background, making choices without the pressure of instant feedback. That kind of patience and discipline is rare, and it makes your results all the more powerful when they do emerge. People may see the outcome, but they will never know every step that brought you there. That mystery keeps your power intact because it cannot be fully measured or copied. Living this way also transforms your relationship with progress. You stop comparing your journey to others because you are no longer wrapped up in theirs and they are no longer entangled in yours. You measure yourself only against your own growth, and that focus accelerates your development in ways that public accountability never could. You are free to change direction without explanation, to fail without an audience, and to succeed without the weight of expectation. This freedom fuels consistency, and consistency builds a strength that does not fade. Protecting your personal life sharpens your sense of discernment. You become better at recognizing who is truly supportive and who is only present for the sake of curiosity or control. You notice who respects your boundaries and who pushes against them. This awareness makes it easier to invest in the right relationships and to step back from the wrong ones. The fewer people who have access to your inner world, the more peaceful and focused it becomes. Over time, you come to see privacy as a form of abundance. You realize that the most valuable moments are not the ones on display, but the ones you hold close. You understand that peace grows in protected spaces and that strength is built where trust is honored. Your life becomes more intentional, your energy more potent, and your vision clearer than ever before. You no longer chase validation because you are living from a place of self-certainty. That certainty cannot be taken because it was not given by anyone else. It was built quietly, intentionally, and on your own terms. And that is the kind of power that endures. The discipline of guarding your personal life refines your sense of control over what truly matters. You stop scattering your energy in countless directions and instead channel it toward the things that build lasting impact. When fewer people have access to your thoughts, your choices, and your next moves, you reduce the number of distractions pulling you away from your path. This focused energy compounds over time, making you sharper, calmer, and more deliberate. You become less reactive to the noise around you and more committed to the work that aligns with your vision. That quiet commitment becomes a force that others can sense, even if they cannot explain it. Privacy strengthens your ability to operate from a place of self-trust. Every time you choose to keep something for yourself, you confirm that your validation comes from within. You no longer require a chorus of agreement to move forward. That independence of thought and action is rare in a world that constantly seeks external confirmation. It makes you less vulnerable to manipulation, because you are not swayed by quick approval or shaken by casual criticism. You make decisions based on what you know is right for you, not on what will earn the fastest applause. This way of living also deepens your emotional resilience. When challenges come, they are yours to face without the added weight of unnecessary commentary. You work through them in silence, learning lessons without the distortion of outside perspectives that may not fully understand your situation. That private growth builds a kind of strength that is not performative, but deeply rooted. It allows you to emerge from difficulties stronger, not because you had an audience, but because you had the discipline to focus on your own progress without distraction. By limiting access to your inner world, you also raise the standard for the relationships you allow in your life. The people who remain close are those who respect your boundaries, honor your trust, and contribute to your peace. This creates an environment where your energy is preserved and your focus is undisturbed. You begin to notice how much lighter and more productive life feels when it is free from the constant pull of those who don't align with your purpose. Over time, you see that privacy is not about living less. It is about living more deeply. It gives you the freedom to create, to evolve, and to thrive without being weighed down by unnecessary interference. It allows you to hold on to the moments, the dreams, and the ambitions that are too important to expose prematurely. In this protected space, you grow stronger, wiser, and more secure in who you are. And that security cannot be given by the world, nor can it be taken by it. It is yours alone, built in silence, and unshakable in its strength. When you fully embrace the strength of a private life, you start to realize how much unnecessary weight you've been carrying. Every opinion you absorbed, every expectation you tried to meet, and every reaction you felt obligated to manage becomes a burden you no longer accept. By closing the door on constant exposure, you free yourself from the endless cycle of approval-seeking and self-defense. That freedom sharpens your focus, giving you the clarity to direct your energy toward the life you are intentionally creating, not the one you are trying to perform for others. You stop living for the gaze of the outside world and begin living fully in alignment with your own vision. The discipline to keep your inner world protected builds a form of self-confidence that is quiet yet unshakable. You know who you are without the need for constant affirmation. This self-assurance allows you to make bold choices without feeling the need to justify them to anyone. You understand that the validation you give yourself carries more weight than the approval of 1,000 voices. This realization changes the way you approach every decision, because you are no longer seeking permission. You are acting from a place of ownership over your life. Privacy also creates a fertile ground for authentic growth. Without the interference of external judgment, your progress is measured only against your own potential. You are free to experiment, to make mistakes, and to refine your approach without the added pressure of performing those stages publicly. This freedom leads to deeper learning and more sustainable success, because you are moving at the pace that serves you, not the pace dictated by an audience. The results you produce from this space are stronger, more meaningful, and more enduring. As you protect your personal life, you begin to recognize the true value of your attention. You stop giving it away to people, situations, and conversations that do not align with your goals. You learn to invest it where it will multiply, in your growth, your health, your relationships, and your purpose. This intentional focus creates momentum that cannot be easily disrupted. You move forward with clarity, and that clarity becomes a shield against the chaos of distraction. Over time, living privately becomes more than a habit. It becomes a core part of your identity. You no longer need to remind yourself to protect your peace. It becomes automatic. You instinctively know what to share, when to share it, and with whom. And because you no longer live in constant exposure, your energy remains steady, your decisions remain clear, and your confidence remains intact. This is the kind of strength that does not need to be announced, because it is evident in the way you carry yourself. It is the power of a life lived on your own terms, grounded, focused, and unshakable in its purpose. The longer you live with intention and privacy, the more you recognize how much strength comes from not needing to explain yourself. You stop feeling the urge to defend your choices to those who were never meant to understand them. You realize that understanding is not a prerequisite for respect, and you begin to demand both from the people you allow into your life. This shift changes the quality of your relationships. The ones built on curiosity or judgment naturally fade away, leaving space for those built on trust and mutual respect. You no longer waste time proving your worth because it is already established within you. Keeping your personal life private also teaches you the art of detachment from unnecessary noise. The world is full of distractions, opinions, and attempts to pull you off course. But when your focus is internal, those things lose their power. You can hear them without being swayed by them. You can see them without being drawn into them. This mental discipline allows you to stay centered even in chaotic environments. Your path remains clear because you have chosen to guard it from interference. There is a peace that comes when your life is no longer an open stage. You are free to grow without the burden of constant performance. You can make mistakes without fearing public embarrassment, and you can change directions without worrying about how it will be perceived. This freedom creates an environment where your potential can unfold naturally without being rushed or stifled. The decisions you make from this place are more aligned with your authentic self, because they are based on what you truly want, not on how you will be perceived. Privacy also amplifies your results. When you no longer spend energy broadcasting every move, you have more to invest in execution. Your work becomes sharper, your discipline becomes stronger, and your consistency becomes unbreakable. People may notice the transformation, but they will never fully know the process that built it. That quiet progress becomes one of your greatest strengths because it keeps your momentum safe from external disruption. Living privately does not mean living small. It means living deeply. It means choosing quality over quantity in what you share, who you trust, and where you invest your attention. It means valuing the unseen as much as, if not more than, the visible. And in that choice, you create a life that is both powerful and protected. You stand in a space where your peace cannot be stolen, your confidence cannot be broken, and your focus cannot be scattered. That is the reward for guarding your personal life. The ability to move through the world with unwavering strength, knowing that what matters most is safe within you, untouched and unshakable. When you choose to keep your personal life private, you are making a decision to protect the very essence of who you are. You are saying that not everything needs to be placed in the hands of others for validation or approval. This choice builds a quiet confidence that cannot be manufactured by public recognition. It is the kind of confidence that comes from knowing your value is not up for debate. You stop living for the reactions of others and start living for the fulfillment of your own vision. That shift is where real power begins. The more you protect your inner world, the more you understand how energy flows. Every word you share, every detail you reveal, every private moment you allow into the public eye is energy leaving you. Or sometimes it returns in the form of encouragement, but other times it returns as doubt, criticism, or unnecessary interference. By controlling what leaves your space, you control the quality of what comes back. You ensure that your life is not shaped by the opinions of those who do not walk your path. You take back ownership over your